Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Free Thought Podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing Biden's thoughts and policies on criminal justice. If you want to hear more about this, the full episode will be linked in the description.
The next issue I think we should discuss is something that's very relevant right now. It's the issue of mass incarceration, the police, the corruption in the system, all of the things that Black Lives Matter is really advocating for. And I think to summarize Biden's side of it, Biden wants to eliminate private prisons, which is great because they contribute to a lot of mass incarceration. He wants to decriminalize marijuana and expunge all people who are facing time right now for marijuana offenses. And he wants to legalize it for medical use as well, which is great, not only because that's one of the things that disproportionately affects people of color because of over-policing and all of these things, but also because it shouldn't be illegal, and it's one of the biggest things that contributes to our massively overfilled prison systems. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah. I think you summed it up pretty well there, but you did miss out on one important thing. Biden does want to eliminate cash bail, and his campaign states that the end of cash bail is supposed to make the system fairer for poorer people who are far more likely to get stuck in jail while awaiting trial. That makes them more likely to lose their jobs and to plead guilty, even if they are innocent, experts say. Many borrow bail money from bondsmen and then end up in debt. Wealthier people, meanwhile, can buy their way out of pre-trial detention on just about any charge, from shoplifting to murder. And so I think that sums up the problem with cash bail pretty well. But in New York, they have also eliminated cash bail. In a more recent incident, there was a woman named Tiffany Harris who was arrested after she was alleged to hit 3 Jewish people. And then she was let go because of the elimination of cash bail. And then the next day, she was accused of an assault of another woman. And so this just shows that you arrest someone and then you just let them go and then they commit another crime. But of course, there are those people that don't commit crimes. They're let go and then they don't commit crimes. Almost all the people who support ending cash bail agrees that there needs to be some sort of reform, some sort of change. And what's going on in New York should not happen. There should be a change or a reform to it. I just want to give some statistics. New York's total homicides went up 24%. The Upper East Side robberies jumped 286%. The mayor of New York says that all these are happening because of COVID, Black Lives Matter, and the killing of George Floyd, etc. I also want to point out that the homicide rate throughout the country has gone up. In Austin, it's approximately 56%, much, much higher than New York. I just wanted to give the full statistic,
Yeah, no. So to address your point about cash bail, I think that's a really complex thing because the institution of, or the idea of giving bail has some classist side effects in a way. At times, cash bail and that institution can be very classist towards people, which I think is the problem that Joe Biden and a lot of other officials are addressing. So I think that's definitely it's multifaceted and it's complex. However, to address your point about defunding the police and how that played out in New York, I worry because I think that of all places to start by defunding the police, New York City was not the place. I'm not against defunding the police. However, I do think that it needs to be done properly, and it sounds like starting off by doing it in New York City wasn't effective, which sucks because what really needed to happen was it needed to happen well in one city to show the rest of the country that it could work. So it sucks that it's going to be both, like, it's going to have detrimental consequences, but it's also going to set a bad example. You know what I mean? It's going to make people way more reluctant to engage in police reform. Also, I've done a little bit of research on the rest of his ideas about the police, and he wants to reform them. He doesn't want to defund. He wants to reform by committing $300 million to the community-oriented policing services, which is essentially a organization that works on police reform, making it more fair, removing the corrupt aspects of it, which is good. I mean, which is great, actually. And then I think one thing that I forgot to bring up earlier is that he wants to eliminate the death penalty.
I just want to go back to what we were talking about before. There was another man named Darius Sutton. He was a gang member who was released from custody without cash bail in New York, who was charged with attempted murder, and then he went on to commit 3 more shootings.
So that's like an anecdote that you're using to say why you're anti-elimination of cash bail? I
mean, I think, like you said before, there are definitely a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of problems with our criminal justice program that should be reformed. But I just wanted to point out another example that the way New York City is handling cash bail should be reformed.
I agree. I think that that we've seen that, at least in certain places. I mean, I actually don't think that it's been done in other states yet, but at least in places like New York City, we cannot have a complete removal of a lot of the institutions that our justice system has. However, I think both sides of the spectrum are wrong. Completely removing it, obviously, from the things that you brought up that I wasn't actually aware of, isn't effective, at least not positively effective. Yeah. However, keeping everything as it is, as we've seen, is also problematic. I think that you have to find a very important balance in terms of criminal justice reform.
But finding that balance,
I don't know if we've found that yet. Yeah,
it's very difficult. All right, I think that wraps things up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to email us at thefreethoughtpodcast@gmail.com. That's thefreethoughtpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you.